Hey guys, I hope y'all had a good day. I only got number 15 as a question, so it just looks like it asked for the second derivative. I haven't done it yet. It looks fairly straightforward. A little bit of chain rule in here, and some icky exponents. But enough of you asked about it, so I'm assuming something quirky happens later on. So the first thing I'm going to do is rewrite it to the 1/2 power. And then when I jump into the first derivative, I'm going to do the power rule, bring the 1/2 out in front, x squared plus 4 to the negative 1/2 power times the derivative of what's inside, that's what's inside. So the derivative of that is 2x. So when I simplify that before moving on, the 2's cancel. And then I just end up with this x and then x squared plus 4 to the negative 1/2 power. So I'm thinking, to get to the second derivative, that I'm going to use a product rule. So, sorry. First times the derivative of the second. So this is going to, that's first and second. So first, derivative of the second is going to be a power rule first. And then when negative 1/2 gets dropped by 1, it becomes negative 3/2 times the derivative of what's inside. So times what's inside is 2x. So first times derivative of the second plus, I'll do this, second, which is this guy, times the derivative of the first, which is just times 1. So why write it? So I can clean up this 2 and this 2. This side ends up being a negative x times this piece. So negative x squared times x squared plus 4 to the negative 3/2 power plus x squared plus 4 to the negative 1/2 power. I'm thinking of maybe factoring right here. So with a double negative exponent but the same base of that exponent, when we talked about factoring at the beginning of the year, you take out the one with the, oh gosh, what was it? We take out the one with the lowest exponent. So this is kind of the mini lesson from earlier in the year, but if we had x to the 4th minus x squared plus x, we are only allowed to take out the one with the smallest exponent. So in this case, we're going to take out the one with the smaller exponent, and that is the negative 3/2. So I'm going to bring that out in front. And then when I divide x squared plus 4 to the negative 3/2 out of this one, I'm left with just negative x squared. And when I divide x squared plus 4 to the negative 3/2 out of this one, when you divide common bases, you keep the same base and you subtract the exponent. So negative 1/2, little side work here, minus negative 3/2 is negative 1/2 plus 3/2, which is 2/2, which is to the first power. If you remember back in the beginning of the year, when we added on this kind of factoring skill with factoring out rational exponent expressions, that typically is what happened, is that it would conveniently end up being 1. And then this negative x squared plus this x squared cancels, and we just get 4. So we end up with x squared plus 4 to the negative 3/2 times 4. And with that being a negative exponent, it's going to move to the denominator. So the 4 is on top, and x squared plus 4 to the positive 3/2 is on the denominator. If you went back to the videos from September and the review of factoring, this was one additional layer of factoring. So we did all the intense review of factoring from Algebra 2, but then we layered on just this new concept, which at the time we learned it and haven't used it really since, but this is why it's in the pre-calc curriculum, because you end up having to do it in calculus to sort of clean things up and make them look nice. So that was probably the bingo step that once you understand that, you can get past it, and it's not too bad. So that was all I had, was 15. So this, as I said online, would have been like a chapter test tomorrow. Obviously, we're not testing. This is all for the purpose of keeping you right in line with where you need to be next year, so Mr. Hill can just pick up and cruise. So there you have it. If you have any other questions, let me know. And tomorrow we move on to a new chapter. So stick with it. You're all doing a great job, and I really appreciate how much you guys are all keeping up. Take care.